Howdy, everybody. I am the great and powerful Mike McDude, aka McDowd. That's my real name. Along with the one, the only, the truly affable, amazing, remarkable, cogent, pervasive? No, perseverant, intelligent, Christ-centered, Christ-centered, Stephen Travers. Stephen, happy Monday. Welcome to the world. Super nice to see you, buddy. Hope you had a good weekend. Warriors look good, huh? Come on, you can talk sports, can't you?
Yeah, they look pretty good.
All right, thanks, man. All right, we talk about anything and everything in the wide world of sports, of news, politics, religion. We're not going to give you some sort of PC answer here or discussion. No, this is conservatism, Christian based first, conservatism out of Marin County, California, USA. People are shocked that they're seeing these two guys talk about everything and anything. So first off, Steve, London was calling and London got bombed, or I should say, London was attacked in recently on London Bridge. 8 people have passed away since. One of the things that comes to mind, Steve, in this tragedy, and we're gonna before we two quick points. The mayor of London says, "Well, this is just part of living in a big city. This is just the way it is now," which is complete and utter nonsense. I was going to use the word BS. It's true. Second of all, Steve Travers, one thing that really I think people need to keep in mind, if that happened here, cops would come immediately with guns. Well, in London, it took 8 minutes. It took a SWAT team to assemble and then take down these terrorists. It's insane now in London, England, in today's world, that these cops are not armed fully. What say you?
Well, you're obviously right, but the mayor of London is a Muslim, so the idea that if you elect a Muslim as your mayor, the peaceful Muslims will decide to attack someplace else is obviously not true.
I mean, for the mayor to come out and make such an absurd statement, it's just part of living in a big city. I mean, how does one even respond? Here it is. Terrorism is just part and parcel living in a big city. Ha! And then there's the mayor of London, and then next to it is,
Where there was a question as to whether he was a dumbass.
and then it
And
says,
then one reads that and gives an analysis. And now the question as to whether he was a dumbass is replaced by knowledge of the fact that he is a dumbass.
and then right next to it, it says Tokyo or 13 million no Islamic terrorists because they don't allow it. So bravo to them. Also, the only country in Europe right now that's really taking a hardline stance is Poland. They will not even allow people who are Islamic into their country because they know that this is where the terror stems from. In fact, they also said that, you know, they said, "Oh, well, the children come in," but a lot of these children of Islamic terrorists have caused
Yeah, they were
big
they were
problems.
they were 4 years old on 9/11, and
Well,
they've been seething in a cauldron of hatred towards
right.
the West for the past 16, 17 years. More or less like the way Barack Obama lived between ages of 5 and 9, where they learned anti-American hatred in a Indonesian madrasa. That's what happens in these places, and you learn to despise the West. Now, many people are just good and decent people, and they don't want to hurt anybody in their hearts, and so they just go on their way. But there's always going to be some bad apples, and uh, these bad apples have a lot better chance of becoming bad apples in a situation like that. The other, if you want to, two ways you can almost assure yourself that you're going to get. Uh, you're going to have a terror act. One, coddle Muslims. The more you hate yourself and coddle the Muslims, the more the Muslims will hate you and have less respect for you. And the other thing is, the more stringent your gun laws, the more likely you're going to have murders and mayhem on your streets. That's just the way it is. Um, because no one can protect themselves. No one has a weapon. No one can protect themselves, and the terrorists know it.
Is it going to take? I was thinking about this earlier today. Is it going to be where we're at the point where multiple British police officers in a single sitting they're gathering, and some nut job just comes up and goes boom, 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 boom? Is that what it's going to take for them to finally say our officers do need to be
No.
armed? No, they're just going to let this garbage continue to roll
Probably.
because of political correctness.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're you know,
Wow.
they're just police officers. They're probably racists and white.
What's the
chauvinist
definition of
males.
stupidity?
Liberal policies?
Yeah, and something done over and over again, right?
That's the definition of insanity.
Well, that too. Okay.
I mean, liberalism, as Dr.
stu-
Michael Savage said, is a mental disorder.
It is.
It's a form of, well, it's I don't know if it's a mental disorder, but it's brought about by people being taught to despise themselves and to hate their history, hate who they are, to feel that they are nothing but racists and that they are everything about who they are is immoral and unjust, that they've stolen everything from somebody else. Which of course reminds me of my family, which in 1933 was so poor that we had welcome wagons come to our house because we didn't have a dime.
Right.
And since that point in time, my uncle died in 2005. I think he was worth $100 million. Didn't steal it from anybody. It was all, you know, hard work, brains, and intelligence.
What do you think about Trump calling for air traffic controllers to be privatized?
I haven't heard about that. Air traffic controllers privatized.
Privatized, yes.
Oh, privatized. Oh, I have no pro that. Oh, I thought you meant deputized. Oh, that'll be fine with
Privatized,
me.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Privatization is always superior to public government.
I'm reading that New York high school district launched an investigation into a student art show that included profound references to President Trump. It's right here. It says, basically, saying that Trump should burn in hell, and yet they allow this type of stuff in high schools. This is wonderful. What a great nation we live in. Speaking of
white people and Christians are fair game.
Well, speaking of Christianity,
you can say and do anything you want to white Christians. It's just the way the media is, the way the schools are, the way the culture is, the way comedians and movies are.
Yeah.
And it's why slowly but surely people are backlashing against it. They don't like it, and so when they have an opportunity to vote against it, they'll make an observation of what it is, and whatever that is, they're going to vote against it.
So
and if a vote for Trump is some small kickback against that kind of thinking, that's the way they're going to do it.
We've got 6 minutes left. There's a couple subjects I want to really delve into. One is Bill Maher. He's the best. He's a funny guy. So he's been, I guess, punished, so to speak, not fired from HBO for using the. Now again, Steve and I are very loving. I'm a Catholic. I'm a Christian. We're both Christians. So we're not going to use anything that's going to knock people down or be.
You're talking about Maher identifying Muslim, most of the terrorists or all of the terrorists as being Muslim.
No,
which he actually does, believe it or not.
Well, no, that's good. That's bravo.
Yeah, it's one of the few areas where
what he actually said is he
actually
used the N-word, and now if you and I use the N-word, which we're not going to use that word anyways,
it's a disgusting word.
It's a disgusting word.
People who use it in their rap songs and in their regular conversations, it's disgusting, and it's a form of self-hatred.
Really
and
is.
Like I say, if you hate yourself, don't blame others for hating you, because when you hate yourself, others will join in. That's just the way it's going to be. And black people they fought so hard and won so many battles to kick back against a word like that, and they but the self-segregation of many black people and the use of that word is disgusting. It's foul,
well, yeah,
and it kicks back against all the gains that they've made.
Yeah, right. Of course, it's used in the lexicon, it's used in song, it's used in common conversation. And I sit there and am shocked. Like, why is it okay for you guys to use it?
Well, it's not okay.
It's not okay. Just like it's not okay
It's
for
foul.
us. It's not okay for me to call you, hey, Steve, you piece of white trash. That's just as offensive.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all human beings, part of the human race. So, derogatory terms.
Some human being is a piece of trash.
I mean, come on. And you hear white people talking about this, and they get away with this garbage. Speaking of garbage, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call it as it is. It is Gay Pride Month, and here in San Francisco, it's going to be beaming with folks in their red, white, and their rainbow-colored attire. And one thing that I noticed is McDonald's actually has come out with some rainbow French fry cartons, and you can see it right there, Steve. There it is, right there. And I mean, come on.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
No, but why are they forcing this garbage upon people like me?
Why do you think? Because that's what they do. That's what the left does. But this word pride that they use is very, very difficult. It's a very dangerous word because the sin of pride is perhaps the worst sin, because the sins that we commit, which you commit and I commit and all people commit, that's not really what gets you into hell. It's failing to acknowledge that they're sinful acts, and that's called pride. It's one of the seven deadly sins.
Right.
The sin of pride is to say that it's my way is better than God's way. It's not really a sin. It's, hey, we're just advanced people. And those are just ways that old people in the Old Testament thought. And those days are over, and let's move on. Well, it's not. God is still the same God that makes every human being, no matter where they are, or what the color they are, or where they're born. And he's still the same God who wrote the Ten Commandments. And those are still our laws.
Well, speaking of laws and insanity, I want to jump up to north of the border where they have just really gone amok up there. They have gone polar opposite from once being a conservative nation to an ultra liberal nation. I guess the province of Ottawa. You know what they want to do now, Steve? They actually are trying to pass a law that gives the government power to actually take your children away if the parents don't believe in the gay lifestyle. Are you kidding me?
That's satanic. That's something that there is a devil. He does exist. He makes observation of that, and he claps and he says, I like people doing that. When you do that, you're doing something that I like, and you're promoting my way.
So we're saying that, Steve, let's face it, if it's happening up there,
but I'm supposed to be, even though the other room and in this room there's 1,500 books, all of which have been read by me, acquisition of knowledge made by me. I'm supposed to be some sort of ignorant person or some backwards person because these facts are known by me. I mean, because I express these.
Canada is like
because I'm not forward enough.
Canada should be.
If you want to be gay, be gay. But I mean, forcing people to glorify it. Glorify it and teach
the government having the ability to steal your children because you're a Christian or you're a Muslim.
Well, as I say, because
Muslims don't believe
foul.
It is foul.
They wouldn't do it to Muslims. They would not do it to Muslims.
And believe me.
And the Muslims, will actually cut your throat for being gay.
That's right. If it can happen there, you bet your bottom dollar.
The Christians will pray for you and tolerate you. The Muslims will actually cut your head off with a rusty knife.
Yeah,
the Islamic jihadists, not all Muslims, but the Islamic jihadists will cut your head off with a rusty knife for being gay.
All right.
When the day comes that they invade and we let them all in and we can't defend ourselves, the gays will be the first ones they go after. Actually, people like me, people like you and I, people of the book, we're actually the ones that they will respect the most.
Seconds. All right, quickly, Warriors, 5 seconds. Pretty great game last night, huh?
Oh, yeah, they're going to go all the way.
No doubt. Go Dubs. Hey, for the Travs, I'm the McDude. Thank you. Completely unscripted, right here live.